Murder of Sierra Juggin. On a quiet summer night, 20-year-old Sierra Juggin vanished without a trace during a bike ride on the rural roads near her Ohio hometown. But this puzzling missing person case took a dark turn when clues led police to a local man's secluded property. Join us on this journey as we uncover the truth behind the murder of Sierra Juggin, a story that not only shattered a family, but also ignited a quest for justice and a call for reform in the heart of Ohio. July 2016 marked a turning point in the sleepy town of Delta, Ohio, where whispers traveled faster than the wind rustling through the fields. Sierra Juggin, known for her vibrant personality, vanished after a bike ride with her boyfriend. The seemingly idyllic countryside would soon become a backdrop to a grim tale. 3 days later, Sarah's lifeless body was discovered, casting a dark shadow over the community. What followed was a harrowing journey into the depths of a local man's sinister secrets, a quest for justice that would change Ohio forever. Join us on this journey as we uncover the truth behind the murder of Sierra Juggin, a story that not only shattered a family, but also ignited a quest for justice and a call for reform in the heart of Ohio. But before we begin, we would like you guys to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and hit the notification bell icon so you do not miss out on amazing and entertaining content. The small, quiet town of Delta, Ohio never expected to be home to a horrific crime that would shake the community. But on July 19, 2016, the disappearance of 20-year-old Sierra Juggin shattered the sense of safety and security for those living in this rural farming area. Sierra was a confident, outgoing young woman with her whole life ahead of her. She had graduated from Evergreen High School just 2 years earlier and was working towards a psychology degree from the University of Toledo while living with her grandparents. Those closest to Sierra described her as comfortable in her own skin and full of joy. She had been dating her boyfriend Josh for over 7 years and shared a tight bond with her family. On that fateful summer evening, Sierra spent the afternoon cycling with Josh along the quiet backroads near their homes in Fulton County. The roads winding through expansive cornfields provided a peaceful bike route away from traffic. Around 6:45 p.m., Josh and Sierra parted ways after their ride. He biked towards his house while Sierra headed for her grandparents' home just half a mile away. But Sierra never made it home that evening. When her mother, Shyla Vakulik, arrived at the house later that night, she immediately sensed something was wrong. Sierra's bedroom light was off, and her car still parked outside, both extremely unusual signs. Sierra was very close with her tight-knit family, and always let them know if she planned to stay out late. Shyla tried calling Sierra's phone, but it went straight to voicemail. Panic set in when Sheila spoke to Josh and learned he hadn't heard from Sierra since their goodbye after 6:45 p.m. Josh told Sheila he had sent Sierra numerous texts throughout the evening with no reply. When he called her himself, it also went straight to voicemail. Sheila called the police to report her daughter missing around 10:30 p.m., just 3 hours after Sierra had parted ways with Josh. Sierra had seemingly disappeared into thin air on her routine bike ride home. Shyla took it upon herself to search the area that night for any sign of Sierra or clues to what may have happened. But the 20-year-old seemed to have vanished without a trace. Sierra's sudden disappearance launched a frenzied search effort by local law enforcement desperate to find the missing young woman. Their first lead came from questioning Josh Kolosinski, the last known person to see Sierra alive. Josh shared with police that he and Sierra had spent the afternoon together cycling along their usual quiet rural roads. The paths wound through the cornfields that dominate the local landscape. At one point during their ride, Josh took a Snapchat video showing a smiling Sierra pedaling her purple bike down the road. Around 6:45 p.m., Josh said Sierra told him she would bike ahead home alone while he broke off towards his own house. This was the last time Josh saw her. Police began searching the area where the couple had parted ways near County Road 6. Just half a mile from Sierra's home, they made a chilling discovery in one of the cornfields. Sierra's purple bicycle was found abandoned and tossed just a few rows into the dense field. Even more disturbing, there were spots of blood visible on the bike's handlebars. Near the disturbing scene, police recovered additional items. A pair of sunglasses confirmed to belong to Sierra, along with another unknown pair of sunglasses, a screwdriver, and even a motorcycle helmet coated in what appeared to be blood. While Sierra herself was still missing, it was clear to police there had been some kind of violent confrontation in the cornfield after she parted from Josh. Detectives widened their search for witnesses who may be able to provide clues. This led them to question James Worley, who lived on a remote property just west of the cornfield where the clues were found. Worley mentioned to police that his motorcycle had broken down in that same area earlier in the day, a statement that immediately drew suspicion. Even more alarming, Worley voluntarily shared that he had lost several personal items near the breakdown site: sunglasses, a screwdriver, and a helmet. These matched the exact items recovered near Sierra's abandoned bicycle. Police were convinced Worley was connected to Sierra's disappearance and launched an extensive search of his secluded property. What detectives uncovered in Worley's barn was chilling. Hidden behind stacks of hay bales was a makeshift room with restraints mounted on the walls. It had an eerie dungeon-like feel. Elsewhere on the property, police found rope, zip ties, female underwear, and violent pornography. But so far, there was still no actual sign of Sierra. Nearly 3 full days after Sierra first vanished, the tragic outcome many feared was confirmed. Her body was discovered in a shallow roadside grave nearly 12 miles from Worley's property. She had been viciously hockeyed with her hands cuffed and ankles bound tightly together behind her back. Her mouth was sealed with duct tape. It was a horrific end to a search that captivated the region. An autopsy would soon reveal Sierra's terrible final moments of agony. She died of asphyxiation after being gagged with a large, violent object jammed deep into her mouth. But how did a happy young woman end up dead in a makeshift grave? Police were determined to make her killer pay. In the days following Sierra Joven's disappearance, investigators painstakingly combed through evidence to build a case against James Worley. While circumstantial at first, the trail of clues ultimately created an undeniable picture of guilt pointing directly at Worley. The first breakthrough came with Sierra's abandoned bicycle, discovered tossed into a cornfield disturbingly close to Worley's property. Police quickly confirmed blood found on the handlebars belonged to Sierra, proof she had been attacked in that spot. At the scene, her sunglasses were found along with a second unknown pair. A motorcycle helmet coated in blood suggested blunt force trauma. These initial clues established something violent occurred after Sierra parted from Josh. Suspicion immediately fell on James Worley after he voluntarily told police his own motorcycle had broken down near that same cornfield earlier in the day. Even more incriminating, Worley mentioned he had lost personal items there: sunglasses, a screwdriver, and a helmet. Police realized these were the same highly specific items just found abandoned near Sierra's bike. DNA tests linked Worley directly to Sierra. Her blood was found on zip ties, mace, and a ski mask taken from Worley's home. On the duct tape used to bind Sierra's body, Worley's DNA was positively identified. The autopsy report contained more critical proof. Sierra died from asphyxiation after being gagged with a large, oval-shaped yellow plastic dog toy jammed so deep into her mouth that it blocked her airways. This object was forcibly crammed into her mouth with such violence that her teeth cracked under the pressure. Investigators believe Worley first struck Sierra in the head with his motorcycle helmet, which could explain the blood found on both items. After incapacitating Sierra, he violently assaulted her and eventually ended her life through suffocation. For detectives, the sheer volume of physical and forensic evidence eliminated any doubt over Worley's guilt. His DNA on Sira's body, her blood on his possessions, incriminating online activity, all of it coalesced into a clear picture of a premeditated, carefully executed abduction and murder. By methodically following the evidence trail, investigators were certain they had their man. With Sira's family demanding justice, prosecutors took James Worley to trial in January 2018 for her brutal kidnapping and murder. Lead prosecutor Scott Hazelman presented jurors with the intricate web of evidence detectives had meticulously assembled. He outlined Worley's chilling digital footprint from the day Sira disappeared. Over 2 hours spent near the remote cornfield, according to cell phone data. Online records painted an even darker portrait of Worley's intent. On the same day, Sira went missing. He spent hours searching disturbing pornography along with terms like abduction, rape, and helpless. Investigators described Worley's elaborate dungeon room and possessions like handcuffs, rope, mace, duct tape, and women's underwear. These clearly implied Worley planned to restrain an unwilling female victim. The medical examiner provided excruciating detail on Sira's extensive injuries. Ligature marks on her wrists and ankles matched the tape and zip ties taken from Worley's home, her head wounds aligning with his motorcycle helmet. And most sickening, the violent way Sira was gagged with a makeshift ball gag, slowly suffocating her to death over an estimated 10-minute window. For Hazelman, the sheer brutality paired with overwhelming forensic evidence could lead the jury to only one logical conclusion: that Worley deliberately stalked and killed Sira Jovan. His motivation was clear based on the pornography, depicting violent assaults against helpless young women. But Worley's defense attorney, Merledek, maintained prosecutors had simply failed to definitively prove Worley's guilt. He insisted the largely circumstantial evidence did not meet the firm's standard of beyond reasonable doubt. Deck told jurors that Worley admittedly lost personal items in the cornfield when his motorcycle broke down, but this alone did not make him a murderer. Deck referenced a witness who saw a suspicious man wearing red shorts in the field. Since no red shorts were recovered from Worley's home, the defense insisted police had arrested the wrong suspect. The restraints and pornography on Worley's property also had an alternate explanation. He was building a private studio to produce legal fetish pornography as part of a new business endeavor. Worley was simply a sexually kinky but law-abiding citizen exercising his free speech rights. But the jury ultimately dismissed these theories after carefully reviewing the evidence. After 6 grueling hours of deliberation, on March 28, 2018, James Worley was found guilty on 17 of the original 19 charges, including aggravated murder. James Worley currently sits on death row at the Chillicothe Correctional Institution, awaiting the grim fate of execution. Despite vehemently professing his innocence, Worley's numerous appeals have all fallen on deaf ears. Sira's memory, however, continues to endure through the unwavering activism of her close-knit family. Her tragic demise at the hands of this habitual offender has had a profound impact on the legal landscape in Ohio. In December 2018, Ohio enacted a significant piece of legislation known as Sira's Law. This law established a public database to monitor the movements of violent felons like Worley once they are released from incarceration. A glaring oversight in Worley's case was his previous conviction for a strikingly similar violent kidnapping in 1990. While driving, he deliberately collided with a cyclist named Robin Gardner on a rural road near Toledo. Feigning assistance, he lured her into his truck where he callously handcuffed her and inflicted wounds with a flathead screwdriver. Threatening her life, he coerced her into submission. However, Robin managed to escape and seek help from a passerby on a motorcycle. James's arrest followed, and despite his false claims that he merely intended to restrain her after an accident, he ultimately pleaded guilty to abduction charges. Shockingly, he was released after serving a mere 3 years in prison. Had law enforcement been aware of Worley's prior criminal history, it might have spurred a more urgent response when Sira disappeared. James Worley's execution is presently scheduled for May 20, 2025. a date awaited by those who seek justice for his heinous crimes. Sierra's story is a stark reminder that even in the quietest corners of the world, darkness can lurk. If you have any thoughts, insights, or experiences related to this case or similar ones, we'd love to hear from you. Leave your comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to stay updated on more gripping stories and mysteries. Thank you for joining us on this journey. And until next time, stay safe.